Hey guys, we need your help. We've noticed not all of you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, so subscribe today.
Subscribe, hit that button.
Anyways, so starting off this week, we are going to, since we're about halfway, 151 games are left in the regular season, we're going to explore who makes the playoffs now. So I think it's a good time to kind of reset. At least when I was looking at this, I noticed something very drastically different about the NFC versus the AFC. But let's kind of go with the chalkier picks to begin with. So obviously, we all have Indianapolis winning the AFC South. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, does anyone other than me have them potentially vying for the number one seed, as in the best, the only people who get a bye?
The number one seed, I think they'll be in the mix. I think that they're winning a lot of games, and I think they'll be in the mix. I think they'll win more than they lose, so I think they'll be in the mix toward the end.
Yeah, they got a big stretch here the next few weeks. I think if they kind of get through that stretch, they'll definitely be in the mix for that number one seed. I think it's important for them to get the number one seed, right? When you look at Buffalo, Kansas City, possibly going to those places, maybe Denver play some inside games in the playoffs definitely helps the Colts.
All right, so that one's a little chalky, I think. I don't have anyone else from that division making it in, although Houston and Jacksonville are like tiny bit bubbly if we see some sort of big meltdown from someone else. But in terms of my top 7, like highest percentage playoff teams, they're the only one from that conference. Do you guys have Houston or Jacksonville making some sort of crazy run?
I like Jacksonville as a team. I like Liam Cohen. I think he'll be making some run. I think he'll be making some nipping at that last wild card. So I wouldn't count out Jacksonville, and I don't think you count out Houston either. So it's really going to be about some other teams we'll get to, but I think they'll be in the mix the last 2 games of the year where it's like, hey, they need this to happen, and if so and so, ties and this that happens, and your mom loses her shoe, then you'll get in on Sunday or something. So it's something like that.
Yeah, I like some of the other AFC teams, but Jacksonville, they do play Indy twice in December. So could mix it up late in the year with 2 big games down the stretch.
My only problem with the Jags is that since week 3, we've seen this steady decline of their offensive line's ability to protect Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we saw just a bunch of sacks the last time that they played. Okay, they have the Raiders this week, so we'll see if they'll be able to, coming off a bye, kind of restudy that run game, restudy, kind of get Brian Thomas Jr. going, see
Yeah.
if Logan called it, but, the Travis Hunter emergence happened abroad. Let's see if we can bring that back stateside, see if that happens. But that makes me a little bit afraid of them. And me for Houston, I just haven't seen consistency from their offense. It's been so up and down that it's hard to say. Now their defense, absolutely. I think their defense keeps them involved, but it just I don't know what I'm looking at from CJ Stroud week to week because it feels like it's like can be like completely different teams. So that lack of consistency puts them on kind of deep bubble teams for me. So let's go to, I think the North is probably a really interesting one because I see some differences between Logan and I. I kind of can't believe it, but my math has Baltimore winning this division. Anyone?
Look, with Lamar Jackson back, there is going to be, they're going to win games. I truly believe he's just that good to will some games to happen. And I don't know why they're so bad as they've been. I know they've had injuries. Everyone has injuries. They've had a lot of injuries, but they've underplayed themselves. They still have Derrick Henry. They still have Lamar Jackson. They're going to win some games down the stretch. I have Pittsburgh winning a division. And I have that because they have the better record than Baltimore, a big lead right now on Baltimore. And Mike Tomlin's a heck of a coach, right? I know we say that every year, 9-7 every year. He finds a way to win every year. And now he has a quarterback that's going to play better closer to the end of the year. He's going to play better when the weather gets colder. They're built to win when the weather gets cold with Aaron Rodgers. There's no way I think that they're just going to fall apart and that Baltimore is going to surpass them because they're so bad with Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. I don't see that happening.
I don't either. I have Pittsburgh staying strong in the division. Like you said, their team travels late in the season. Rodgers used to playing in the cold weather. And I don't know if this is Rodgers last year. I just cannot imagine him not being in the playoffs. So I'm sticking with Pittsburgh in the North.
My only problem is for whatever reason this year, you can pass on the Steelers. We saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, those weirdo I mean, we were talking about this before we started, but, like, the trajectory of Jordan Love's passes were, like, way up high and then
Yeah.
down, and that was not something where typically when I think of Pittsburgh Steelers defenses, I do not think that is like, you don't play around and throw a duck ball, right? You just don't do that, and that has been a consistent theme, and now with increased injuries to that secondary, maybe they trade, maybe something happens before the trade deadline, which was November 4th, but I just don't feel like this Steelers defense is built to support an offense where maybe they need a little bit more help at the wide receiving position. I know their tight ends have been catching a bunch of passes, but it just feels like the balance is, like, tipped a little bit in favor of maybe, some weird finishes to their season.
It almost sounds like you're speaking about Baltimore. Exactly. You can pass on that secondary. That's not the normal defense that they play in Baltimore. They might need some help at receiver. I really don't know what's happening in Baltimore. It's been somewhat abysmal so far, I think, on all their standards. And I think that Lamar Jackson, them getting a win and now Lamar Jackson coming back, maybe it resets their season, but they're just in a big hole. Pittsburgh's ahead. So if they had an even record, I would say, yeah, maybe Baltimore over Pittsburgh. But the fact that Pittsburgh still is ahead, I don't think that Mike Tomlin teams collapse. And I think Zach mentioned it. It's different football post-Thanksgiving. That is a different part of the season. The weather gets colder. You gotta be able to do certain things, run the ball, be good up front, have a quarterback that can take care of the ball, and both those teams have that, but I just feel like I like where Pittsburgh's at. I don't think they fall apart. I think they get better as the season goes.
And their pass rush. I know, I don't know what their numbers have been this year, but when you look on paper, when you have 3 rushers, you add Cam Hayward down the stretch, that's going to win you games when you have Rodgers on the other side of you.
I'm a big Cam Hayward fan. I think he's absolutely crushing it at his position, and TJ Watt, of course, we
Yep.
can't forget him ever. But my only argument, one little argument in favor of the Ravens here, they're getting so much healthier. So it's
Yeah.
not just Lamar Jackson coming back. Ronnie Stanley's back. Turns out your left tackle, kind of a big deal. And then the entire defense is kind of getting healthier. We saw Kyle Hamilton last week against the Bears, like, line up in a completely different spot. He rushed the passer 10 times. He got 2 pressures, kinda crazy. He also had his first run stop of the season, so he's back to being that kind of joker situation that we saw from him when he's fully healthy normally, so that's my only little asterisk there. However, I do need, like, a full camera on the special teams coordinator for the Steelers always because the amount of gum that man chews, Dick Danny chews is like it's like I can't even imagine, like, where does he get that much gum? I'm not sure where they even get it, but are we agreeing that Baltimore and Pittsburgh both make the playoffs? So one wins, one's the wild card, or do we think one of them's out and only one team wins from the North?
I have Pittsburgh only. I don't have
Pittsburgh
Baltimore in the
only,
playoffs. Yeah,
okay.
I have Pittsburgh only in that division. So when we get to the next division here,
Yeah, yeah.
eventually I got 3 out of one division.
Ooh,
Ooh.
let's see if I can guess that division. The West.
Yes, yes. I love the West.
What is your order for the West, the
I
AFC
still
West?
I still think Kansas City at the end of the day is going to win the division. I think until you dethrone them, you can't. And I think that Detroit game 2 weeks ago, it's almost like every year Kansas City has a game that kind of springboards them. I was on the wrong end of that one year. We played them, and I felt like we kind of springboard them. And I feel like that Detroit game a couple weeks kind of got them going in the right direction. So I think Kansas City, and then I have Denver. They looked really sharp this week defensively. If they're running the ball like that, they're a tough out. And then I really like the Chargers. I liked them before the seasons. Obviously, Slater going out hurts, but you see Joe Alt came back this week. Khalil Mack comes back this week. So both lines of the scrimmage were really dominant. And like you said, left tackles matter. And Joe Alt coming back was you could tell that had a big impact on the game. So I love what the Chargers are doing. I've always admired what Harbaugh has going on and how they play down the stretch and how they play defense and can run the ball. So I like the Chargers being that third team in that division.
Yeah, I don't have 3 coming from the West. I have 2. I have Kansas City winning the division. Kansas City is just the best team in football right now. It's Freddy Krueger, man. We try to kill him and write him off and leave him for dead, and Mahomes just woke up again. and just did it again. They look really good now offensively, and then defensively, they look equally as good. Like, both units are, like, really operating, and they're figuring it out. So and I really like Denver. I mean, Kansas City and Denver are 2 of my top teams in the AFC in general. I think they were gonna I think they're gonna do some damage in the playoffs. And, I do have Baltimore getting in, though. I'm not gonna bet against Lamar Jackson. I kinda didn't have it at first. I see exactly what Zach's talking about. It makes a lot of sense. I just said I figured Lamar Jackson's gonna come back and will some things, and they're gonna be a hot underdog team that's gonna be kind of a tough out now. Baltimore on the road in the playoffs, if they had to win as many games as they had to get in there. So I have Baltimore sneaking in, but I just have Kansas City and Denver coming out of the West.
So I actually have 3 as well, but my order's a little bit different. I have Denver just slightly ahead of the Chiefs. Surprised me too. My model loves the Chiefs. The problem is the Chiefs dropped a few earlier. So unfortunately, scheduling gods say the people who have number 1 schedules play harder teams. And that would be the Kansas City Chiefs in this case, because last year the Broncos finished with the worst schedule. So just by margin and by virtue of just a tiny bit easier schedule, I think they advance. Now, here's the other tricky thing about the Chiefs that popped up when I was doing this is their O-line has had kind of some weirdo injury stuff going on. The left tackle that they drafted, that he hasn't been playing. And then we saw, I mean, they've just had some injuries. So I just have a little asterisk there because it does very much matter. We saw that down the stretch against, the Super Bowl comes to mind, obviously. But ultimately, right now, Patrick's just playing like who do you want? Okay, now how about you catch this back? How about guy we've never heard of? Would you like to catch that guy in the stands? Want to come down and play a snap? We'll figure it out. But I also love how horizontal they are able to stretch the field as well. That helps because the horizontal and the vertical make it very hard when you have that much speed on their offense to just like even know what's going on. But when things get harder, that little asterisk will tell me that the Chiefs O-line has a little bit more of a question mark than the Broncos. And the Broncos O-line doesn't get enough credit. I mean, go back and watch Quinn Miners. Now, I have one question about Quinn that I must ask him, and that is, does his belly get a weird tan? Because he always lifts it up like crop top situation. Is it sunburned? What's going on? But watching him, holy smokes, that was a huge difference maker against the Cowboys this past week. I mean, good Lord. But that offense maybe doesn't get enough credit. But again, 1, 2, and then I have the Chargers sneaking in as the 7th team, but they are very bubbly. And a lot of that will depend on if they can get the run game going, because Jim Harbaugh wants to run the air out of the darn football. So that's kind of where that one nets out with me. Now, last division here. The Patriots are in first place right now. Drake May. Are you ready for this, Logan? This one's specifically for you. He has more touchdown passes of 20+ air yards. So those deep passes, the hardest ones to make. He has 5 of them. Then he has incompletions on such passes this year. Only 4 incompletions on deep passes. And I don't think he has the best receiving core in the league. So did the Patriots win? Did the Bills sneak in? What happened? I think we're probably all good to say the Jets and the Dolphins are. We can leave them
Nah,
for this playoff question. But what's the order for you guys, Logan?
Well, I'll go with, it pains me to say it. Pains me to say it. But I do think that the Bills find a way to win a division, and it's just because they have Josh Allen on their team. And I think he's been doing this for so long at a high level, and the Patriots are gonna make the playoffs, are a very good team. They're overperforming whatever you wanna put them. They're doing great. Mike Vrabel's the real deal. I've said it on this show, but I have the Bills winning the division, the Patriots right behind them. They're obviously getting in the playoffs, which will be a huge win for every Patriots fan. Like, we are on cloud 9 right now. I look at the ability to run the ball, and the Patriots don't always have consistency in that department. And when I say, when the weather gets colder, the run game gets a little more important down the stretch. But what Josh Allen can do with his legs and James Cook in the run game and him having the ball in the final 2 minutes of games is the reason why I think the Bills will win it.
Zach, what's your order?
Yeah, I got the Bills winning it also. I agree there with Logan saying they've got Josh Allen, right? So they scare me a little bit in the playoffs. just because I think they rely a lot on him kind of playing a perfect game and getting them out of a lot of trouble. But I do have them winning that division in New England. New England's like they scare me because it's like deja vu. You see Josh McDaniels, you see Vrabel, and then you got Drake May playing well. It's like, are they about to turn this thing around and be another dynasty? So I think they make the playoffs. I think they make a push here in the next couple of years, but New England's got something good going up there again with another young quarterback.
No one's concerned about Buffalo's defense.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
That's what I said. Like they rely when they get in these big games, they rely so much on Allen really playing a perfect game, and I think that gets them beat down the stretch when they start getting into the heart of the playoffs.
Do we have like if the Super Bowl were played today, you would have picked like who do you think's the Super Bowl contender like from the AFC right this minute? I have the Bills winning the division too, and New England getting it, but just wanted to question the
Chiefs.
defense from my two experts here.
I'm Chiefs. I'm not betting against the Chiefs until someone gets wrong.
yeah, I would have to go Chiefs or Denver. Those are the two teams that I'm going to go with, and it pains me to say, man, I dislike I got to be somewhat mutually biased in my career, but I just dislike the Chiefs. But they are the best team right now in the AFC. How they've been playing.
Listen, if you're kind of a hater and you're also
Hey.
picking them, you know it's for real,
I'm
right?
a hater for real on the Chiefs, man. So
I love it. So right now, if I had to pick, obviously my preseason pick was the Bills to win the whole thing over the Eagles. So I'd like to stick with my pick. But to be very fair, right now my model also does pick the Chiefs. So just so we're clear. All right.